Hi there. In this video is a continuation towards a personal self-discovery to unity in consciousness. This placement of human integration towards transformation of consciousness, which is my spiritual autobiography, Root of the Lotus. So I thought I'd bring you a PowerPoint presentation. So you won't be able to see me in this particular video, but what I'd like to say is that in this next slide, that we can start from the beginning. And so consciousness, the nature of being, the pure self, the oneness in all things, our personal essence. In effect, this is a research towards knowing your own true nature. And that in the beginning was the word Shabda in Sanskrit, breath, and the word sound, nada, in Sanskrit, was God. And you'll see this in Genesis, where God saw it was good. And so it's the value of consciousness that all unmanifested matter, i.e. creation, was manifest all at once. It's a beautiful thing when you see the reflection of this particular slide. I remember the presence of soul gliding over the fog and water below me. I remember beginning of time. And so I'm asking you to bear with me, and that this is a really wonderful journey toward self-discovery that I like to present to you, because it's also yours. And so I'm trying to define for us, what does it mean? What does the journey mean? What is consciousness, mind, essence, self? And so in the beginning, I remember being in that placement, which I've said in the previous videos I've made. And the term asambrajñata is another Sanskrit word that is offering us a definition of non-cognitive mind. So I was in that placement of this non-cognitive mind. Awakening level to awareness arises from mind, thought. When I heard someone call out, he needs a volunteer, several times. So this mind, this thought, was a dynamic of consciousness in motion that required action. And so I responded from that placement of thought, or I-ness of consciousness, which alludes to my personal call. And so the Divine Mother that I am connected with in her various forms throughout my lifetime have recognized her as one that offered me this statement that is so clear, that I borrowed from a text that I was reading, and I can't remember where I saw this. But it says, although you appear in earthly form, your essence is pure consciousness. You are the fearless guardian of divine light, divine mother. So that being said, there is hope, there is potentiality to returning to that call wherever you are in your life. There is unity in silence. There is dynamism in one's action to go forward. That you'll be able to blossom the sacred lotus at the heart level. And so in the beginning birthing process, and each time in meditation, we find ourselves in a safe environment to that of the womb. Because your sadhana, your practice, is coming back to that womb, that experience. Furthermore, what happens within that space, the womb, we hold a sacred moment in our personal and communal history that is shared, the cosmic mind. So we're coming back as a personal recall I can speak to, which alludes to the gift of nature. One is moving and merging towards transcendental consciousness, unity consciousness. So dating back from a pre-birth experience, I'm able to recall very well, can speak to that which allude to the original call, my own. It is a call from a state of being or consciousness reflecting cosmic intelligence, understood to be the sound of one, collective as unconscious and transcendent at the same time, God or universal consciousness. This is a potential we all have. And it's here because it's now the most important time for us to recognize that unity in self, essence, and I'm here to tell you how to get there, at least to offer some words that will help you arrive to your own meaning making and awakening towards transcendence. In this preface, first, in this process, one comes to animate a palpable presence and to witness as one begins to develop on the emotional and spiritual levels. One begins the development in memory at the start of life. The fetus begins to hear the physical world at will in terms of what that soul will come into. The second level, this begins to offer the soul the clarity to the infinite and dualistic nature of humankind, that in the womb there is no need for conflict, comes to continue his or her state to merge one's fullness, self, essence, infinite consciousness. And for me, being in the womb, I was cognizant of this infinite state of consciousness, aware, because of my hearing availability was already formed. And so thought process, I was able to hear consciously, fully awake, to discern the outer world and to intuitively understand what was being heard. And so I won't go into the dynamics of what I heard, etc., but definitely wanted to speak about that briefly because I want to um, manage my time here. So the third level, awakening consciousness to potentiate from a pure state of consciousness towards integration to the mundane world in chaos, beginning the process of karma, and towards unity of divinity as oneself, as oneness in self. So you might ask yourself in meditation, where does this oneness in self reside? It resides within your own consciousness. And that's why meditation is so important, because it is the doorway of merging the mind and the heart together, that you will find not only yourself, but you will find the nature that is being in all human experiences and all life forms that are one. Fourth level, to witness the knower, who is the self, begins within the process of knowing the experience to that which is known, a state of who you are and will become in your future development at all stages of life. You already know, but at this point needs to have the experience to journey at each level, to unfold and to participate, integrating the fullness that you are already. And so karma, ego, development will participate in that and will make a decision factor as to how soon you'll be able to understand that. That you'll come to a state, to potentiate a state of coherence in life. So the fifth level, awakening consciousness to the inner world towards the transcendental level, would ultimately form our way towards our return to essence, being. That is our homework. Toward a discovery to self-essence. This study will also reflect, and that which alludes to the connection to all pervasive state of being, to consciousness that is conscious of itself, relating to pure awareness of mind, a non-egoistic element within nature that participates one's nature as the self. So we're at the beginning stages, if you will. As we are developing and coming into the world, our karmas will come also along with us, as you know. Open the mind, and the heart will follow through the intrinsic dynamic process that awakens the discovery to essence. Transcendental merging through self-inquiry is key. The most important thing, self-inquiry. To know oneself, to know the rishi, the seer, is through the process of knowing that one begins to understand what is already known. Deep listening that is within, that you will be able to recognize and understand and merge through this process of your own sadhana, your own practice, yogic tradition that is key to self-inquiry. So This process will concern itself to a personal discovery, leading one to the depths of consciousness, revealing pathways to human integration and transformation. As such, the foundations emerge from the interiority to being and then outwards from the crust, layer by layer. Thus, one is led towards a transformative spirituality, a pathway that unfolds to a transcendental spiritual and mystical journey toward an inner coherence of life, beginning towards the return. And so for me, on a personal level, I'm here to tell you that it is possible to come out from your um, doubts, your grief, your sufferings, that in the nature of consciousness, when you tap into your world, the reality of who you are starts to become, because that is the nature of being. And so through meaning making, you discern. One discerns through the experiences in life. And for me, I'm able to experience in this memory of life from spiritual merits, if you will, from past life, that we all have various experiences in past life. Mine was um, such that I was able to develop in many, many lifetimes the spiritual life as a yogi, as a practitioner, writer, philosopher of Sanskrit. So basically, my life currently is one that is living a yogic tradition through the Vedic sciences. And so each of us are very different. However, our karmic patterns of past life, I'll speak to probably in my next video for you, the value of karma and what that means. Um, Reincarnation and the karma that follows us each lifetime towards becoming. And so in the unfoldment of our karmas in the lifetime, we come to the placement of wholeness in self. As I mentioned, in the Vedic tradition, um, I have had the opportunity to acquire the knowledge of Sanskrit, acquire the depth of my own personal practice, had the blessings of many swamis, saints, sages, and gurus along my journey, that I was able to learn and understand the 40 aspects of Vedic literature, which alludes and speaks to consciousness related to an integral wholeness of self, beginning with Rig Veda. I won't go into the 40 aspects right now, but this is a beautiful thing that within your own practice, your own sadhana, you are going into discovery, into researching self, and that you will be able to find, locate these aspects within your own consciousness. An integral model to optimal well-being begins with one's self-inquiry. Will help one to merge towards self-actualization in life. And this is what I'm talking about. Over the 65 years of my life, I remember for the first 7 years clearly being in that state of self-actualization. And then after 9 years old, I knew I was going to lose it. I was losing my memories from the previous experience before this birth that took me into living more fully in the physical world. Um, and that's where the shift occurred, where after 9 years old, um, one gets lost in this particular physical world. So, fortunately for me, based upon one's dharmic values and right management of self, of course, it takes a couple of years. And for me, it took a lot of years to remember to come back to that self, that nature of one's essence. Self-inquiry will smooth one's karmic path, which will then lead towards a dharmic one. Therefore, self-inquiry is key, and through the Vedic technologies, opens to science of life models, benefiting all at the various levels of body, mind, and spirit, or consciousness. And that's what I'm saying, is that during this process of our time now, it's so important to come back to your meditation practice every day and come into your own sadhana that is rich, offers you fullness to becoming, crucial at this time, as you may well be aware of. I won't go into right now, but this is the beginning stages of awakening something, perhaps a memory. And okay, here we are, the orientation towards cosmic consciousness. So basically, as I was saying, this is where we are at. We are at the beginning. We are at the beginning stages of transition, crucial moment in time in our history. You know, I think we're kind of fed up with um, the same old, same old. It's never going to be the same old again. In the next 3 years, it'll make a changeover, beginning with 2020. Uh, so, won't go into politics, but you know what I'm saying. And very happy about it. And I think America will be very, very happy about it as well. So we're headed towards a good place here. Thus, aspects of Vedic philosophy and through the various models of healing, which pervades all the Vedic arts and sciences, will help in sustaining our sensitivity to discernment and to engender optimal management and securing our dharmic path. So blah, this is where we're at. This is where I'm very, very happy where we are at now. Although still going through some birthing pains here and there, we need to go through that in order to recognize the wonderful um, path that awaits us. So, the orientation towards consciousness as self-inquiry is the basis of all our potentials based on Dharma. Will in the process to facilitate in adjusting our karmic um, history appropriately. The goal is to provide a way towards realizing self, that which is our own authentic self, being, essence in life. Most important. So I'm hoping this is helpful for you. And so the lighter side of heaven. And that's where I'm getting to. We're going to come back to this heaven on earth. You better believe it. There's no doubt in my mind. The great error of modern psychology has been to speak of the unconscious as though it were some kind of unknowable. But insofar as the unconscious is the body, the unconscious can be known and studied. And insofar it is, as it is timeless principle, the unconscious, can be finally realized in an act of intuitive knowledge, intuitive knowing. This is what I'm saying. At the placement of the womb, I remember it was an intuitive knowing, hearing, feeling, sensing. Speaking would come later, but it's funny because I remember trying to speak the words to my parents when I was introduced to them when I came home from the hospital as a brand new baby. um, could understand who they were because I was being told and introduced to them by Spirit, the Spirit guide. This is your mother, and this is your father, and this is who they are, and this is what will happen. This will become known as you grow and become. So, life is a dream. It's a beautiful one. And all our aches and pains and sufferings and griefs, we have to turn that around now. It's no longer valid. Um, but allow them to be our allies, to work for us. And so, in the development and integral growth to universal consciousness, speaks to the value of cosmic consciousness revealed to me, wishes to speak to you regarding the mental, the physical, emotional, as well as the spiritual landscape that will lead you to the mystical landscape. This wonderful state that some would call a miracle, miraculous, parapsychology, an understanding to uh, a new world that is waiting for us. Thus, the developmental and process helps one towards discovering wholeness of being, essence, mapping out one's landscape starting from self. And here's the thing about it is that when we are in the womb, we are developing physically. And towards the 9 months, 7, 8, 9 months, we are able to hear, we are able to discern and intuitively understand. Although in a restful state, just so overwhelmed with sleep, rest, which is, what the fetus is doing, and it's a good thing. But there's an inner state of mind that is being developed, consciousness that is being developed. Uh, and you may not know your karmas yet, and you may not know your dharma, your dharmic um, pattern or sense of dharmic being. But it's through identifying essence of self enables one to meet up with the knower within, who is our ultimate self, arrive at an impeccable place, allowing convergence to take place over time with practice and patience. And this is the thing, practice and patience. This book here, because I know Father Bede Griffiths, because I was in his community, um, although Bede Griffiths ashram was in India, I was located in California as a monk. And the book is A New Vision of Reality, Western Science, Eastern Mysticism, and Christian Faith. The author of Father Bede Griffiths. You can get that on Amazon. And this book mentioned will be very helpful for those who are seeking and discerning outside of the traditional Christ-centered lens. One might be keeping in mind that mysticism has no boundaries. And so if you're following your mystical journey, then you're hearing this video. And I applaud you for that. Continue on. Hey, how high can you go? I don't know about you, but I'm going swimming. Thanks for being here, and everyone have a blessed and nice day. Okay, until next time, I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye for now.